Hey guys, so the Libertarian Party had their national convention this past weekend, Memorial Day weekend, in the belly of the beast at Washington D.C. And I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about the presidential nomination, Donald Trump's speech, all that stuff. So I'm going to get right into that. For those that don't know, my name is Mike Shaner. This is the Liberty Ranch podcast. I don't normally wear a ball cap like this, but this is the Black Market Cattle Company hat that I had designed with the Voluntaryism logo and the Black Market Cattle Company there. I would, if anybody's interested in getting one, let me know. They'll be on a website soon with links. But for now, shameless promotion. Also, the T-shirts. This one's keep government out of the food supply. Support your local farmer. The same logo on the back. So that's it. I'm not modeling for you guys. I'm too old and fat. Anybody's interested, they will be on website soon. I've got 7 different designs of this one, but that's that. Enough of that. Back to what we were here to talk about, the convention. So first things first, I posted a tweet before convention, or right at the start of it, apologizing to Michael Heiss and to Angela for, I never explicitly called either one out. But I was sort of passive aggressive in it, I guess. That's embarrassing, but I was. And, there was that whole leaked emails with I don't want to go back through it, but there were some hurt feelings there. There were some things regarding strategy that I didn't like, and I made it public. They both tried to reach out to me to talk to me about it. In my defense on this one, I didn't really know that Angela, she had reached out on Discord. And I would have responded, honestly, but I didn't know. I haven't been on Discord in over a year. So I didn't see that, but she did make the effort. Michael called me and went through other people trying to call me multiple times to talk about it and discuss. And there was a lot going on in my life at the time. I refused. I was a child about it. And I apologized publicly. But I want to apologize here, and I want to congratulate Angela on an amazing convention. It was the best convention the party's ever had. They proved me wrong a million times over. Doesn't matter about the whatever personal feelings I might have had. I don't have anymore. But even if I did, the convention was a resounding success. So I think Angela's going to be the best chair. It is proven probably already, but it is definitely, when it's all said and done, going to be the best chair the party's ever had. And that leads me into the next thing. So congratulations on the new LNC. The Libertarian National Committee, I think, is made up of great liberty-minded people. There were 2 people on there that the vice chair, I really don't care for. And there was one other, I don't remember who it is. There was one other person that I think maybe I wish that hadn't have been there. But overall, it was a great, great slate. They can't really do anything. Like Rutherford can be a voice of opposition, but he doesn't have any power there, 1 vote. So he's not going to be able to hold things back too much. So the LNC, that went good. That went really good. The presidential nomination, on the other hand, well, that could have been a little bit different. Chase Oliver is the Libertarian nominee for President of the United States in 2024. I congratulate Chase on a hell of a campaign. He ran an amazing campaign. He is a good politician. There is no doubt about that. I will never vote for him. I don't vote for anybody. I will never endorse him. I will never publicly support him. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I don't care who you vote for. I think you shouldn't vote for anybody, to be honest with you. I think you should opt out. I'll get to that a little bit later. But if you're a libertarian and you want to vote for Chase, it's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to hurt my feelings. It's not what I can't do. The guy doesn't represent who I am. So I'm not going to do it. And that's going to piss some people off. I don't care. So the next thing is, well, who are you going to support? Well, again, I don't vote for anybody, but I'm not going to support. There may be somebody along the way that in the LP nomination, I changed my mind 3 or 4 different times from beginning to end of who I wanted to win. And I never really had a candidate that I wanted to win. I wanted Spike Cohen to run. He didn't. I would have been, I'm not like a lot of people on my side of the aisle. Dave Smith wasn't my preferred candidate. Spike Cohen always was. Dave has things that I disagree with him about, but they're on a very unimportant level to me. I just don't like how he responds to some of it, but this isn't an attack on Dave. Dave has responded to the whole thing perfect. He's done a lot of things I disagree with in the past, but right now, I don't want there to be any bad blood. I don't feel like arguing with Dave Smith over shit that doesn't matter, over shit we're not at yet. So I don't care about that. I'm here to bury all those hatchets and move forward. Not that Dave Smith cares about me or who I even knows who I am. But we've had disagreements on social media that, it's time to move on from that. He wasn't my preferred candidate. I'll put it at that. And but if he had ran, and if he had been, I would have supported him. He would have won the nomination hands down over Chase. We wouldn't be talking about this, and I would be here like, oh, these are the few problems I have with Dave, but go vote for him. My point in bringing all that up is you don't have to be in lockstep with me on every issue to earn my support. And I don't care who you support. But, so there's a difference. We can agree on issues for different reasons, and why you agree on that, why you support or against an issue, a lot of times matters to me more than if you're for or against that issue. If we agree for something for totally different reasons, it can say a lot about, who we are as people, really, and what kind of decisions we're going to make on other things when it comes to it. So if you're against war, a particular war, because it's not fiscal responsible, it's a bad time, it's whatever, then that's not, and I'm against war because it's immoral to attack anybody or to, and if it's not a war of self-defense, like true self-defense, and that we have those different reasons, well, you're going to agree, there's going to become a war that you agree with that we should jump into. Libertarians have proven this with the Ukraine. Libertarians, the left, the side that I'm talking about now, they've proven this with their support of Ukraine. So they're not for certain wars because they see them a certain way, but they're for wars that they agree with because they see them a different way. I'm against the United States being involved in any war. So if we have disagreements on that, on why matters. It's not just the end. And my point in saying all this, so I'm going to hold off 1 second. I'm going to be right back because I wrote down notes. I found my notes. I'm going to be right back. All right. So I'm going to talk about why I can't support Chase now. There's three things. Chase is vaccinated. I'm going to tell you why I think that matters. His vice president is a cop who is vaccinated. I'm going to tell you why I think that matters. I probably should have led with this. I think it's a better headline. Chase supports, at a minimum, puberty blockers for children who want to transition. I'm going to tell you why I think that matters. And Chase supports storytime drag queen, whatever the phrase is, drag queen story hour, whatever it is. He supports that for children. I'm going to talk about why that's a problem. And then I'm going to tell you who I support for 2024. I already gave a little bit of it away, but I'm going to tell you what I support for the 2024 campaign. So here we are. If you've been with me 9.5 minutes, I'm going to jump right to it now. Why does Chase's vaccination status matter? In a lot of ways, it wouldn't to me. I'm not like, Clint, some of those guys, they're like, oh, if you ever fell for it, then you're automatically eliminated. Well, I don't go that far. If you fell for it, if you thought it was the right thing to do to get yourself vaccinated, I can live with that. If you were once a heroin addict, I can live with that. If you were out there wearing masks, pushing people to socially distance, if you were taking the jab, if you were doing all of that stuff, if you were actively promoting it, and then just staying just on this side of the line saying, I think everybody should make this personal choice. I'm ashamed of you if you don't make this personal choice, but it is a personal choice. The government shouldn't be involved. If you were promoting that type of government propaganda, you're on the right side of the libertarian line. I'm not going to tell you to leave the party, to leave the movement, anything like that. But I'm going to tell you you're not the face of the movement because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Your decision-making capabilities matter here. If you're a junkie and you go out every day and you shoot heroin, I think you have the right to do that. If you're a grown adult, I think you have the right to go out and put anything in your body, government vaccines or anything you want to. You have the right to do that. But I have the right to say, you don't represent me and you're not the face of the movement. If you want to go with me door to door and campaign for somebody who doesn't do that stuff, I say you should do it. I say you should be as involved as possible. But I can't support you as a messenger as the face of the libertarian movement if that's the type of decision making you make. If you got vaxxed, if you were, when at first I took care of my grandfather during COVID, and he was sick, and and he never got vaccinated, by the way. But if my grandfather, who was elderly, and immunocompromised, had talked to his doctor and came to the decision that he should get vaccinated, I wouldn't have stopped him. I wouldn't have been mad at him. I would have supported him. I would have thought it was the right decision because of the odds. A lot of old people were dying at the time. And the risk of later consequences, of unknown consequences against the risk of what we saw at COVID at that time, it made sense for him to get it if that's what he wanted to do. He didn't, and I didn't try to talk him into it. And he passed away later, not anything to do with COVID. So I'm not just like trying to shame people for if they took the vax. But my grandfather would have never been out celebrating all the propaganda. My grandfather would have never endorsed all that was going on. Chase did, and his cop running mate did. So that's why their vaccination status matters. And if you want to pretend to me that doesn't make a difference because he was just technically on the right side of a line, I don't believe you. I don't think you're being honest with me. I think you're making an excuse of why you want to support someone for other reasons. And you have that right. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm trying to tell you the distinction to me and why I could never support the guy. I think he's a hateful bastard, honestly. I mean, besides all of the other stuff, I think Chase is a woke liberal wanting to publicly shame people for those type of choices. I think he would have been really, really the type of person to publicly shame people who didn't get vaccinated, who didn't wear masks, who didn't socially distance. I think that's his whole idea is that. And we have a different idea of the culture we want to live in. That's the important thing. That's the truth. A lot of people will then turn back to you. A lot of his supporters will turn back to you and say, oh, it's because he's gay. I don't care. I don't care who he sleeps with. I don't care what he does. As long as it's adults, I don't care who he sleeps with. It makes no difference to me. And it makes no difference to most people. This isn't 1955. Most people, some do. Some will say it, a very small minority. I don't care. But it doesn't to me. It's the reasons I said. My first love was a hairdresser, and being around gay people was something I was exposed to very young, and never had an issue. Had a lot of fun. Went a lot of fun going out partying back in those days. That's not, anybody that knows me knows that's not an issue, and I don't have to defend it to people that aren't. But the people that resort to, oh, you're a homophobe, oh, you're a bigot, it's because they think that's a silver bullet. They think that's how to shut you up. it's not anymore. And it's not anymore because of good people on the right side saying, call me whatever you want to. I care about this. And moving that Overton window. You guys hear my baby River over there hollering at me. I may have to step up in just a second. Um, ah, So it's because of good people on the right side of the Overton window changing the language, changing what's acceptable to talk about. And I don't give a shit if Chase is gay. I don't care. Honestly, I wish I didn't know who people slept with unless they were friends of mine. I mean, I have no reason to know, but it's definitely not anything to do with. So when I bring up his vaccination status, it's because of his vaccination status. His partner being a cop who's a backstabbing cunt, his VP, not his partner, I don't know if he's in a relationship or not, his Mike Tremont, I think he's worse than Chase. There's some stuff that's going to come out. He contributed to Project Liberal way back in the beginning. I think that this was a setup, a screw job that had been in the works for a while between those two, and I think it goes to their character. I don't have all the proof of that yet. I have some, but I'm not going to put too much time and energy in it, to be honest. I'm just telling you that's what it was. And he's a clown, and I don't like him. Give me 1 second. Be right back. All right. So as you know, I don't edit this. This is straight off the cuff. So apologize for you guys taking 30 seconds for me to go take care of River. I hope you're still with me. I don't have a lot of viewers anyway because I don't do this on a regular basis. I just do it when I get where I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this weekly. I'm going to do this weekly, and then I don't. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. That's why his vaccination status matters to me. He used it to virtue signal, and thinking that it's a virtue to follow that protocol puts you on the opposite line of me. Now back to puberty blockers. This isn't going to gain me any fans on any side. Everybody's going to hate me after this. I believe that if I take my child to the doctor and my doctor and I come up and say, hey, the best way to cure your son, save your son, help your son is for them to take this drug. And I agree, and we agree as a family, it's none of the government's business. No matter how disgusting I think that thing is outside of my mind. So I don't think government should be involved in, but I think if they're regulating things like, I don't believe in a federal government, but if they're regulating things like, I'm going to get to a minute. Okay, so I think my line there is I think that the family should decide. I don't think government should be able to overrule family. But I believe that as a principle, that's a guiding principle to me. I would violate the NAP to prevent that from happening to a child. If I saw a child getting mutilated, I would see that as an act of self-defense that I'm willing to die for, and I would stop that from happening. I don't think it's government's role to interfere. And I don't think it's my role really, but I would step outside of my role. I wouldn't put that responsibility on a government or a different people if I saw that happening. Chase says, I think government should stay out of decisions between doctors and families. My question to Chase is, if a doctor prescribes an infant heroin, should the government interfere with that? If the doctor prescribes perverse behavior, should government interfere with that? There are lines that I would step across to prevent that I think are outside the lines of government. I'm against all of these things. I don't think government should be involved in medical decisions at all. I don't think abortion is a medical decision, so I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about in this. So while we technically might be on the same side of the puberty blocker government line, we're there for different reasons. Because Chase sees it as a virtue signal. He sees it as cultural progress. And he may say he doesn't, but if you put it to the test, well, what about, because he's not an anarchist, I am. He says he's not a minarch. He believes there is a role for government in such things, and he would be there is a role for government in medical intervention. I'm speaking for him, but I would guarantee you that because I know for a fact that a doctor shouldn't be prescribing a child heroin or because it's fun for him or whatever. I know that that's wrong. I have to hang on one more second. Hey, baby. Daddy see you. All right. So I know it's wrong. Completely wrong. I don't think that Chase knows that puberty blockers are wrong and thinks that it's a government doctor issue. I believe that he sees it as a cultural issue, that they are being discriminated against. I believe he firmly believes that a man can become a woman. And I don't care if you believe that, that's your right, but you don't represent me if you believe that, and that is something that is totally acceptable to push on children. If you don't see the difference in my stance and his, I can't help you. But there is, I'm not saying I'm right in my, like if you're like, hey Mike, I think you're an asshole because you don't think the government should regulate this one thing, then, I can see that. I think that just makes you probably a good person that believes in more government than I do and just can't understand where my mind is coming from. I can get that. My mind is there shouldn't be a federal government to begin with, and if there is, they shouldn't be regulating medical decisions. They shouldn't even know medical decisions. But on the same lines as they exist, and they would prevent a doctor from prescribing heroin. The state of Georgia has just taken 2 children away for not following medical advice, which Spike's real big on pushing that. That's horrible and disgusting. It makes me really, really sad to think about. I think there should be consistency. So I think if the government is there to prevent child abuse and is preventing child abuse and believes that certain things are child abuse, definitely causing irreversible harm, like changing or trying to change a child's sex, is child abuse. There's no doubt about it. It is. Once you're an adult, I don't care what you do with it. Cut your finger off, cut your penis off, cut your nose off. It's none of my business. But if you do it to a child, it is my business. And even though I think a government shouldn't be involved, I'd stop you from doing it. I would cross that line. I would take that ass whipping or that bullet or whatever to save that child. I would do that. Because I think there's a role for individuals and not for a government there. So I believe something should be stopped. I just don't think it's government's place to stop it. I don't think Chase believes it should be stopped. I know he doesn't. That's it. He thinks it should probably be celebrated, even if he won't come out and say that. So that's why I'm mad. I mean, that's why it's different. The same thing with the drag shows. If you want to take your kid to a drag storyteller thing, I think you're probably a depraved person. Do I think government should prevent it? No. But I think it's sick and it's disgusting. I think they should prevent it on any public, on any government. I guess no, they shouldn't prevent it. It's disgusting. Will Chase Oliver come out and say, hey, it's disgusting to transition children? Will he say, hey, it's disgusting to, these things are abhorrent, they're disgusting, they're irrational and repugnant. But it's not the government's place to prevent things just because they're irrational and repugnant. Would he come out and say that? I don't think so. Would he come out as strongly against, would he virtue signal as hard against people who do that to children as he promoted the vax mandates, the vax, not mandates. I don't need his clown army to, hey baby, to say I misrepresented anything, because I'm not. I'm trying to be as honest on this as I can, as honest about me and as honest about his position. So if, would he come out as strongly against these horrific things and say it's just not the government's place, as much as he was like, oh, I love being masked and vaxxed and virtue signal for those things. I just don't want the government to make you do it. Would he come out and be like, it's awful, it's gross? Would he take a strong stance on that? I don't believe he would. And I know he wouldn't. He won't. That'll never happen. He would rather say bigotry is irrational and repugnant or some such nonsense. That doesn't mean anything, he'd rather just virtue signal, because he doesn't think it's wrong. And if you don't think it's wrong, then you can't represent me, and you can't be the face of a liberty movement that preaches personal responsibility. You might not like my stances on things, but I'm shooting you straight. I'm telling you what I really believe. I'm not trying to be a politician about it. I'm not saying, well, on a technical, I'm telling you who I am, and this is my ideology. This is who I am deep inside, and where I come from, and where I try to take things from a rational and honest perspective. I don't believe that's true about Chase. I know it to be untrue. I'm going to end with a story about Michael Heiss and about Chase Oliver. I think the Libertarian Party, Mises Caucus, picked a very bad candidate. I think they were in a bad situation and did what they thought was best and whatever. And I didn't like him, never supported. Don't like him is wrong. I do like the guy, actually. He's a very likable person. I never supported him for president. I supported him when it was down to him and Chase, but they all had things that kind of cut through it. He actually was closest to my my philosophy, really like 98% close to my philosophy. But I didn't think he was the right person to sell the message. I didn't think that was the case. So I didn't support him. Michael Heiss knew this. Josh, I think, is a great salesman he believes in a much bigger federal government than I do. And I didn't think it was the best thing for Josh to run for president, to be I didn't think it was the best thing it's not my place to decide for Josh, but it is my place to decide on endorsing and things like that. So I never thought it was right for Josh, and I never thought it was right for the party to take that risk, bet, whatever, that he would be able to make it all the way through and attend every event and that sort of thing. And I love Josh. I like Josh a lot. I don't want that to come across as a dig at him or his supporter, because I really do like the guy a lot. And he believes in the federal government should be responsible for some things I don't think they should exist. That helped me, but it was more like, what, I can get over that, because they aren't big issues. I mean, they are, but they're not things that matter. Matter as in they're not going to happen right now, so it didn't matter. Josh can't change it, so it doesn't matter if he believes that the federal government should do this, and I don't to an extent. We agreed on a lot more. But I didn't think it was right for him, and I didn't think it was right for the party. So there was nobody there. In fact, the last tweet I put out, I was pushing Tremont. I reconciled that he was a cop. His vax, and after I saw some vax videos and stuff that he had made virtue signaling about that, I pulled back that endorsement, I guess. And I was hoping for Josh at the end. But as far as Mike knew, I was going to vote for Josh all along, but I was never going to, as a delegate at the convention, but I was never going to support Rec unless it came down to him and Chase. And I didn't think it would, to be honest. I knew Rec would make it past the first round, but I thought it would have came down to Lars, Tremont, Josh, I thought, and Chase. I thought Tremont would have got eliminated, and then I was going to be the choice, because I was never going to the same thing with Lars. I think Lars has great libertarian stances. But I think how he made his money is, and how, like, that's not somebody that represents me. That's not somebody I want to be associated with. So I could never, he was a non-starter for me to begin with. And so I thought it was going to come down to Tremont, Chase, and Josh, honestly. And I thought, and Mike knew that I thought that, that I could possibly be something that kicked Wreck out of the race and helped Josh win. And he still offered, it was as an olive branch, he still offered to help me get to the convention. And I declined the help. I didn't need help. But I did say, anyway, that was with us having a beef against each other, or me having a beef against him. That was with me not going to vote for his candidate. That was after he reached out to me several times to try to unburn the bridge. And Michael Heiss can't get anything from me. I don't have anything he wants. Like, there's no reason for him to care. We aren't super, super tight or anything. And there's no reason for him to care if I'm mad at him. But he cared. He reached out several times. Thought I was an asset to the party and the movement, and that meant a lot to me. It didn't at the time because I was mad about stuff, but thinking it over now, it did. Well, I'm going to contrast that, like how he acted. And I posted that apology on Twitter. maybe 30 minutes later, Mike just started texting me about some results, and this is going on, whatever. Hadn't talked to the guy last time he tried was months and months ago to talk to me, nothing. I posted a public apology, and Mike he didn't even acknowledge the apology, not in I'm not going to acknowledge that, as in, he didn't try to put me in that place. He just sent me something letting me know we're cool, right? Like, we're just talking. And I said, hey, man, I'm going to call you after convention's over. I want to personally say it to you as well. And he said, I'll take your call. I said, I know you will. I called him today, actually, and he didn't answer, but he texted me right away. He's like, got a ton of calls coming in. I'll call you back ASAP. I said, no rush. So that versus Chase. Chase, after the Reno reset, he acted like a piece of dog shit. He was just like, oh, I hate everybody, blah, blah, just like all of them did, And so he kind of started a war with this side of the aisle, which he continued a war. Like, that war had been going on for a long time. And at that time, Mises won. And he just basically, it's like, I hate you guys. I have nothing to do with you. I don't want to be a part of you. I'll never endorse you. But I'm going to make the Libertarian Party, whatever. I'm going to stay and fight. So, to his credit, a lot of them just rage quitted. Hey, buddy. A lot of them just rage quit. He didn't. He stayed and he fought and he won this round. So congratulations to him, like I said, on that. But a lot of mean words were said between a lot of us and him. And after his debate in Georgia, like, he had a really, really, really good debate, I thought. And I sent him a message, and I was like, hey, dude, great job. I want to call, like, that's who I am. I don't mean that like, oh, I'm such a great, but that is who I am. Even if I don't like you, if you do something cool and we, like, are in the same stratosphere, I'm going to be like, hey, that was a cool thing, man. Props. And I wasn't expecting us to become great friends. I wasn't expecting us to become anything. But, well, let's just say he wasn't as, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it. He wasn't as generous as Michael Heiss was. And so, and I think that just goes to, this is River, isn't he gorgeous? I think that just goes to personality. I think that just goes to the core of who you are. So there's a lot of things on the caucus side I don't agree with. A lot of things with Dave Smith I don't agree with. A lot of things with Mastre I don't agree with. It's okay to not agree, but how you treat people is kind of important. That's the end of it, really. I'm done. I went through the whole thing. So what am I going to do for 2024? I don't think anybody should vote, man. I really don't. I don't think you should vote. Even If Ron Paul won the nomination, I love Ron Paul. He's my hero, one of my heroes. If Ron Paul won the nomination, I wouldn't vote for him. I don't think that organization should exist, so I wouldn't vote for him. I think this is the most important election of our lifetime for you to opt out. I think it's time. I think this is the time you should opt out and take control of your future. Quit giving those people permission to make rules over your life. But for whatever reason, and if there's mass noncompliance, now's the time for mass noncompliance. It's time to just get out. Start making relationships. Start making a plan. The empire's crumbling. Start making a plan to build it back up. Voting isn't going to do it. But if that voting's your thing, the candidate I'm supporting for 2024, and I hope you'll help me on this because this is my movement for 2024, and I want this to be my legacy, what I'm known for. Eliminate the office. I'm starting a write-in campaign for 2024 to eliminate the office. Hashtag eliminate the office 2024. Hope you'll share this. Hope you'll follow me on Instagram and Facebook as Mike Shaner, TikTok, Black Market Cattle Company, Twitter, CSA Wordsmith. But wherever I am, you can find me. It's Mike Shaner. And I hope you'll follow me, and I hope you'll help me build this movement. Eliminate the office 2024. It's time. It's time. Do we need a madman? Do we need Donald Trump? I don't need to tell you all his flaws. Do I need Joe Biden? I don't need to tell you all his flaws. Do we need Chase Oliver? Do we need Kennedy? Kennedy said he'd sign a gun ban. Kennedy said he'd like to jail climate deniers. He's changed his tune some since he's running for office and needs to court some people. But even with his tune being changed, he's good on vaccinations. He's not good on much else, to be honest. He's good on war, not war. He's not good on Israel. Hey, see, he agrees. But even if they were great, they don't need to be running your lives. They don't even if you want to believe in government, even if you're a minarchist, you've got the state government, you got the local government that you can serve, bow down to. We can fight about that later. But the federal government doesn't need to be here. I have as much in common with somebody from Park Avenue as I have in common with somebody from Brazil, in Brazil. How can the same organization govern Alabama and New York and California and Iowa? I mean, and it's absurd to think that there's one organization that should govern all these things. They shouldn't. We're not the same. It's time to succeed. It's time for a national divorce. It's time to eliminate the office in 2024. Mike Shaner, thank you. Oh, find me on, thought I was going to let you go. Find me on YouTube at the Liberty Ranch Podcast or the Sedition Papers on YouTube, and Substack at theseditionpapers.substack.com. So thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.